Some movement on the National Results Centre board. Nearly 70% of votes have now been tallied. Let's get some analysis now on those election results. Political analyst Yan Joubert joins me for that conversation. Yan, so let's talk a bit about the coalitions. We heard there from the ANC's Jesse Duarte talking to Masego Ratlaga that they'll be meeting in the National Working Committee in extended format on Friday to decide which direction, what conversations, and their team will be led by Jeff Khateb. But before that, we had heard from Herman Mashaba, who was saying that his message to the ANC is, don't call me, I'll call you. But actually, I won't.
Don't call me, I won't call you. Yes, that's been the message also from the spokesperson of Action SA ever since last night. And that opens some interesting options for coalitions, because that rules out Action SA working with the ANC. It places them on the side of the opposition. That for the city of Tshwane means that Randall Williams might have his tenure extended as mayor of the city of Tshwane should an agreement be reached between the DA, the Freedom Front, Action SA, the ACDP and one or two other small parties. They should be able to get to 50%. It was a very important call by Action SA. Yes, very important.
Yeah, just go back to City of Tshwane before we move on to the EFF's approach on coalitions.
Yes.
What makes you think that that's the likely configuration with Randall Williams, his tenure being extended?
Well, the fact that the DA of those parties is by far the senior one. I guess that would have to be negotiated, but that's the most likely outcome.
Yeah.
The reason why I say that is the path that's most likely to lead to the mayoralty is that the one thing that all those parties have in common, and that they are clear about, that's their policy, that they do not work with the ANC. Now, if they do not work with the ANC, well, they can, of course, work with nobody.
Yes.
But if they were to work with somebody, it would have to not be the ANC. Not the ANC would be them.
Yeah, it might end up being amongst themselves. And also we now know that Herman Mashaba says his relationship with the DA is water under the bridge. The DA had decampaigned Herman Mashaba extensively before the elections, but it seems that that option is not being closed off, at least not by Herman Mashaba at this particular stage. The EFF, I remember that briefing in 2016 done by Julius Malema and the leadership of the EFF from outside Stretla in Alexandra Township,
right,
telling us what their approach would be to coalition governments. Are we any clearer this time around?
All sitting at that long table.
Yes,
yes, I recall it. Look, the EFF normally is extremely consistent. So what they decided then, and look, I think they have a briefing at 4 o'clock, but what their decision was then was that they would not form a coalition with any party which does not support the 7 pillars of the EFF, the 7 non-negotiables. So if you want to go in coalition with the EFF, you have to agree to their position on land and a number of other issues. Therefore, any party that goes with the EFF would have to be in favor of complete nationalization of all land. Now, I can't see any of the major parties going that way. So probably you're going to have the EFF not in coalition with anybody, possibly working on an issue-to-issue basis in that sort of cooperative governance situation that they had with the DA, which didn't work out so well. They could have it with the ANC. But that decision will not be taken this afternoon or any other time. My understanding is that the top structure of the EFF, the Command Council, will meet in a few days' time and take a decision which will be binding for the country in line with their basic concept of democratic centralism.
Yeah, and also they've said, though, in the last few weeks that they, in many instances, they will not want to just be bystanders anymore. They'll want to get stuck in terms of issues of governance, because they also do need to showcase themselves.
Well, in that case, they're going to have to take some tough decisions, because taking up those sort of positions would require one of 3 things to happen. A, that the cooperative party agrees to the EFF's policy, basically unites with the EFF under EFF supervision. Secondly, that there's a cooperative agreement, but then they cannot take up sort of these positions. Thirdly, that they get into some sort of agreement, and they've tried that before, where the EFF, for instance, would rule one council outright, despite not having an outright majority, and allow the ANC, with EFF support, to do the same in another council, if I make myself clear. So the complete mayoralty and the complete MACO is EFF in one council, the complete mayoralty and the complete MACO is ANC in another. That would be a tough one to negotiate.
Yeah, we're in that terrain, actually, that those trade-offs will have to be done over the coming days and weeks. Thank you for that, Jan Joubert, giving us some insights in terms of what you can expect. Trust me, the discussions are likely to be really, really difficult among the political parties, especially with some saying that there are non-negotiable principles. You heard Action SA, they're saying that social justice is one of their non-negotiables. What is the content of that will be right at the center of some of these negotiations.